So hey guys, the series name is What If Naruto Fall in Love with Kagome Higurashi. So let's start the series. Simply as a stunning light stuffed the sky, a couple of eyes snapped open to show pools of deep purple that watched because the light become loads of smaller fragments that soared through the sky in every course with the brilliance of a shooting megastar, golden eyebrows furrowed because the slit, pink eyes narrowed at the sight. That cannot be exact. A pleasant voice rumbled out tiredly as razor-sharp claws shredded the foliage that had grown over their bearer's body in his years of slumber. Now loose from the limiting vines, a lean, powerful form rose from the floor with a heavy yawn. Bones popped and creaked because the tall parent stretched to relieve his frame from the tension of many years of disuse. Once he felt that the anxiety become sufficiently relieved, the form stood to his full peak of just over 6 feet tall and surveyed his surroundings. His body was clad in an elegant kimono of deep crimson that matched his eyes pretty nicely. An extravagant golden dragon became emblazoned upon the collar and sleeves of his kimono, giving it a more regal look that suitable his air of secrecy of superiority pretty nicely. Over this, he wore a black cuirass that had spiked pauldrons over his shoulders. To complete his outfit, a smooth, golden tail turned into wrapped tightly round his waist, as 8 greater identical tails flowed freely behind him. His hakama were of a similar crimson coloration and flared outwards close to the ankles just above his black boots. 2 lengthy strands of golden hair that matched his tails framed his tanned face over his pointed ears as the rest of his hair flowed down his again to his waist. 3 black traces harking back to whiskers marred every cheek because the wind blew numerous bangs from his brow to reveal what seemed like a golden sun on his brow. I'm wondering how long I've been asleep, the person mused to himself as he frivolously walked through the forest. The wind seemed to pick out up barely as he all at once stopped in a clearing and his lips pulled back barely, revealing elongated canines. The forest turned into useless silence for a moment earlier than the silence become ripped apart, whilst the person raised his head to the sky and let out a primal roar, grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr always superior being, but one creature might be seen transferring at splendid speeds in the direction of the supply of the sound, performing as little greater than a crimson blur, my lord. The rushing ball of purple fur answered as he arrived to the clearing and at once bowed lowly. It is so suitable to see you subsequently wide awake. The creature said definitely, stand up, Kurama. The now named Kurama did as commanded and raised his head to show a decidedly fox-like shape. Kurama changed into a fox demon with purple-orange fur that favored to stay in his demon form. If requested why he selected no longer to take his humanoid shape, he might absolutely say that he observed his demon shape more at ease and go away at that. The most effective aspect that genuinely appeared to set him aside from regular fox demons were his size and the four tails that flailed about in the back of him, standing at complete peak. Kurama came as much as his master's chest. It is good to look you again, vintage pal. Tell me, how long have I been slumbering? The blonde demon gave his fellow fox a small grin that few had been privileged enough to get hold of. Kurama gave his very own grin and go back as he appeared the powerful demon he has served for longer than he can consider. I would say near 2 centuries have handed already, Lord Naruto. I assume recent occasions are the reason of your awakening? Naruto nodded his head in reaction as he took within the information and contemplated his next course of action. Fill me in on what I have missed. The pair of fox demons walked via the forest with no precise destination in mind as Kurama filled Naruto in at the happenings of the closing 200 years. I see. It is, as a substitute, sad that my old buddy met his cease. What of his lands? Naruto puzzled in regards to the outstanding dog Trendy who ruled over the western lands. The two of them had been quite close when they had been younger. His eldest baby Sesshomaru was left in price. Kurama spoke back. I see. I by no means had the opportunity to meet her, but he pointed out her regularly. And what of the swords? Kurama tensed slightly on the question, which did now not pass neglected properly. Tenseiga turned into left to Sesshomaru and Tetsusaiga became left to his half-breed son Inuyasha. Kurama trailed off as he seemed away. Naruto narrowed his eyes a chunk as his servant unnoticed the most crucial little bit of data. Kurama, Naruto said in a commanding voice, leaving Kurama no choice, however, to face him. What of Soanga? Kurama gulped audibly as his ears decreased in submission. I am sorry, my lord, I do no longer recognize. Totosai and the others sealed it away, fearing what would show up without you or the dog popular round to wield him. A low growl emanated from Naruto's throat as his lips pulled returned barely to show his fangs. That hearth-breathing worm. He dares to seal away my sword. Kurama couldn't save you. The mild shiver that went down his spine as the yuki poured off of the angry demon in waves. Without a phrase, Naruto vanished in a flash as he leapt to the sky in the direction of the demon blacksmith's home. Kurama fast took off after him, hoping to get there in time to save you the vintage blacksmith's death. Totosai changed into mendacity on his bed, snoring away, blissfully ignorant of the risk that changed into rapid approaching. He rolled over and scratched his backside in his sleep simply earlier than his door exploded in a flurry of splinters to expose as an alternative pissed-off Naruto. The noise woke the elderly demon from his sleep as he fell out of bed and iced up whilst he observed the livid demon lord's status in which his door was. Lord Naruto. Why, you're unsleeping. Totosai Speedy got to his knees and pressed his forehead to the floor. So startled by way of the demon lord's unexpected appearance, he didn't hear his question. I am sorry, what was that? Where? Totosai blinked several instances, not quite information what the man changed into looking for. In which I asked my sword, you vintage bastard? Naruto demanded as he immediately picked the antique demon up via the throat and tossed him outside, through the wall, understanding the very clear threat he became in. Totosai changed into short to reply, the Bone Eater's well. We sealed it, and put it within the Bone Eater's nicely. Totosai let out a sigh of relief while Naruto instantly took off to retrieve his sword. He shivered as he heard a voice name lower back to him. If he is now not there, I'll be returned for you. The threat changed into clean, and Totosai could handiest hope that the demon lord observed that evil sword without incident. Wait, Lord Naruto, Kurama called out, having arrived simply as Naruto became leaving for the nicely. Arriving at a small village near the properly, Naruto regarded round as he felt the ordinary electricity nearby. It felt like what had woken him up and assumed it to be a shard of the jewel Kurama had spoken of, his attention but become drawn to something else. A heady scent that turned into just like one he knew properly. So his son is right here. I assume Soanga can wait a couple of minutes, Naruto idea as he accompanied the scent into the village. All of us within the small village watched him warily as he made his manner to the center of the village. As he approached the small hut the scent seemed to be coming from. An aged girl with an eye patch stepped out with a bow in hand and eyed him warily. What is it ye seek, demon? The woman requested as she held her bow tightly. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the instead foolish human and regarded her over carefully. The female was virtually a priestess. However, not a totally superb one, relaxed priestess. I'm no longer right here to damage anybody. I simply want to fulfill the son of an antique pal. Keed's grip on her bow loosened fairly. However, she kept her protect up nonetheless. I assume ye be regarding Inuyasha? Naruto nodded his head in affirmation and earlier than anything else changed into stated. Aforementioned half-demon walked out of the small hut accompanied with the aid of a girl in atypical clothing Naruto had in no way visible earlier than. Who the hell are you? Inuyasha requested warily as he eyed Naruto cautiously. Naruto pulled his attention far away from the girl's atypical apparel and appeared over the purpose he become there. The boy genuinely seemed to have his father's ability, but genuinely did not seem to possess some other similarities to his father as far as man or woman went. He regarded brash and boastful in evaluation to his father's calm, humble character. Loosen up, pup. I am not your enemy. Your father become a totally near friend of mine, so once I stuck your heady scent, I determined to prevent by using. Inuyasha's eyebrow twitched on the puppy remark, however rose in surprise at the understanding that this man was a chum of his father, Iron Reaver Soul Stealer. As soon as the initial marvel wore off, Inuyasha leapt on the blonde demon and tried to rip into him together with his claws, unperturbed by means of the young half-of-breed's claws. Naruto fast grabbed the boy's wrist and flipped him onto his returned. You are getting in advance of yourself there, doggy. You are nowhere close to prepared to stand me. Naruto spoke flippantly as he commenced walking away to get again to his unique assignment. Feel loose to try once more after you attain your father's level. Inuyasha grit his enamel in anger at that final remark and rushed after the bizarre man who kept just out of reach no matter how rapid Inuyasha ran. Kagome ran after them screaming as they made their way in the direction of the Bone Eaters properly. Kurama sighed as he watched his master run off once more simply as he caught up. Forget about it, he stated as he lied down at the grass to take a snooze. He could discover Naruto later. Damn it, forestalled dodging. Inuyasha yelled as he continued to wildly swipe his claws on the fox demon. That would not be an excellent concept now, would it? Naruto countered with a smirk as he used the opportunity of Inuyasha overextending his arm on one among his strikes to smack him within the again of the pinnacle, and sweep his toes out from underneath him. The result became for the boy to fall face first into the well they were status subsequent to. Naruto chuckled lightly on the circulate of obscenities the boy become calling out as he fell. Inuyasha! Kagome cried out as she watched the boy fall into the nicely. Naruto raised an eyebrow whilst there was a flash of mild and seemed into the properly. His face showed his confusion as he regarded to look that the properly turned into empty. His confusion best grew as the bizarre woman all of sudden jumped into the nicely and disappeared in another flash of mild. What the hell? Naruto wondered aloud as he contemplated what just befell. His nostril all of sudden picked up a familiar heady scent, and he remembered his purpose for coming here in the first vicinity. Soanga. Without any further thought, Naruto jumped into the nicely. Naruto was confused. For starters, there was no signal of Soanga being inside the well. Then there has been the fact that rather than the sky, there has been some form of building above him. His confusion best multiplied whilst he jumped out of the nicely. In place of the forest that must were there has been some kind of shrine. What's this place? Jumping atop the torii at the steps leading up to the shrine, Naruto became thoroughly burdened. What need to have been forest was a massive town of weird homes that towered above the whole thing into the sky, and strange metallic instruments moved through the streets. Naruto became torn from his confusion and amazement, whilst he felt a completely powerful demonic power. Soanga. Naruto wasted no time in speeding as rapid as he could towards the overwhelming presence. Inuyasha, what is wrong with you? Kagome requested an issue as Inuyasha becomes standing in a park close to her circle of relatives' shrine with the abnormal sword in his hand that regarded to have somehow attached itself to him. She observed ordinary markings had regarded on his face, and when she saw his eyes she shuddered in worry. His scare were red and his sharp blue eyes had a crazed look to them. Suddenly, he commenced swinging the sword randomly, sending out blasts of power. Sounga. The crazed Inuyasha stopped shifting completely as soon as he heard the voice. Kagome seemed round for the supply of the voice simplest to fall returned onto her, but as the blonde guy from before all of sudden appeared right in the front of her, Naruto. A voice that wasn't his very own got here from Inuyasha before his frame went slack as the strange sword detached itself from his arm. Naruto calmly walked over to the down one half-breed as Soanga floated in the air above him. Wait. Do not touch it. Naruto in short glanced on the woman with a raised forehead. There is something incorrect with that sword. As quickly as Inuyasha touched it, it possessed him. That element is evil. Naruto completely disregarded the human woman and took hold of Soanga. As quickly as he gripped the manage, a purple/black tornado swirled around Naruto violently. The force turned into sturdy enough to send Inuyasha and Kagome hurtling backwards. Thankfully, they landed within the grass with little damage. Soanga isn't evil, Naruto commenced as he grew to become closer to the younger girl and the now recovering Inuyasha. He is just misunderstood. Kagome looked at the blonde like he changed into crazy, which for all she knew he probably changed into. Kagome was about to retort while a voice unexpectedly came from the sword. Silly human, just because the half of breed isn't always strong sufficient to deal with my power doesn't suggest I'm evil, even though I am known as the Sword of Hell. Properly, you are a dragon from hell, so. Touché. Kagome and the now wakeful Inuyasha were not certain what to make of the scenario. Inuyasha's fist clenched when the sword basically called him susceptible. However, it became right. If it weren't for the blonde guy, he most in all likelihood could have gone on a rampage. As if sensing the half-breed's frustration, Naruto said something to cheer him up. Don't feel terrible, puppy. Even your dad may want to barely touch Soanga without losing himself. Inuyasha wasn't sure how to take that, even if he had issues doing it. His father was capable of do what he had no chance of doing. Tch. I'd best allow him willed me due to the fact you advised me to earlier than you ran off to nap for 200 years, you lazy bastard. In case you ever try that once more, I'll make sure there's nothing left so that it will wake up to. Whether the sword had done it on purpose or not, that truly made Inuyasha feel a bit higher about himself. Kagome becomes shocked to learn that this guy who seemed no greater than 20 turned into over 200 earlier, than remembering the truth that he turned into a demon. By the way, my call is Naruto, Demon King of the South, and of Path. You've already met my associate here, Soanga. Naruto introduced himself as he held Soanga over his shoulder. So that you're one of the 4 demon lords? So which means you had been as strong as the antique man, right? Inuyasha asked. Bahahaha, please. That mutt wasn't even near being on Naruto's stage. There's a cause he became known as a general and Naruto is the demon king. Naruto shook his head at his accomplice's antics. What he means is sure I used to be as robust as your father. Our strengths but were not the identical. Inuyasha narrowed his eyes a chunk trying to discern out what he meant. What I suggest is your father wasn't reputable for his energy so much as his aura and management. Soanga phrased it poorly. However, in experience he turned into right. The title of popular suited your father flawlessly, tch. So the antique guy wasn't as robust as absolutely everyone makes him out to be. Inuyasha let loose an owl and glared at Naruto whilst he smacked him in the lower back of the head. You manifestly did not recognize what I was announcing. Your father changed into enormously effective. You wouldn't also be capable of touch him as you're now. Inuyasha became about to mention something, however acquired a look that genuinely said close up and allow me in from Naruto and did simply that. My point become he wasn't the most powerful of the 4 individually. But there may be a cause he never lost a war over his territory. He changed into an professional strategist, and his soldiers had been willing to put down their lives for him. Now not out of worry or some inaccurate sense of responsibility. However admire, yeah. The mutt changed into real unique. Now are we able to get out of here? Soanga stated with the boredom clear in his voice. Naruto sighed as he sheathed his partner on his left hip and started out taking walks towards the shrine in which the nicely turned into positioned. So, what happened with you two at the same time as I was gone that got you so indignant? Naruto asked, to which Soanga let out a hint. The flea bag never permit me have any fun. In place of simply letting me kick anybody's ass with a dragon twister or 2, he constantly selected to use that rattling Tetsusaiga rather. That wind scar is a damn funny story, the sword responded, getting a sweat drop from Naruto at how childish everything appeared. Possibly, it'd be first class if I never let Soanga fight with Inuyasha once he inherits his father's sword. Welcome lower back, Lord Naruto, Kurama stated with a yawn as he observed his master drawing close. I see you managed to retrieve Fongface. Watch it, Furball. I'd be greater than satisfied to expose you a dragon tornado because you appear to have forgotten the way it felt the last time. Enough, you. I swear it is like I am surrounded by way of children. Kurama glared at Soanga for a second before shifting to walk to Naruto's proper. So where are we going next? Kurama requested. Naruto glanced at his vintage friend for a second before staring beforehand of him again. We are going domestic. What did you just say? Naruto requested with narrowed eyes as he stopped in his tracks to turn to the elderly guy who had referred to as out to him. It had been several weeks seeing that his awakening, and he had spent that time letting the people of his lands recognize that their king had returned. He had been as an alternative angry to go back to his domestic to find that, in his absence, swarms of demons had invaded his lands and had the audacity to lay claim to his territory. However, he couldn't probably have heard what the old man just stated efficaciously. Proper? There's no way any demon will be that stupid. I am sorry, my lord, but we just obtained reviews approximately a tribe of bat demons who have taken residence alongside the coastline and claimed it as their very own. They have got even installation a barrier around their nest and continue to prey upon the people living inside the nearby village. Naruto's eyebrow twitched in infection at this news. He knew that the facts might be dependable considering who had brought it. The man may also had been human. However, his circle of relatives had served him for generations and the man's fantastic grandfather had been one in all Naruto's favored vassals. The young boy had been very lively and had treated Naruto as a form of father discern, even as Naruto did not particularly care about people as a whole. Those on his lands had been under his protection and to assault them without his consent become tantamount to stealing from Naruto himself. Definitely those bats had a death desire. Thanks, Taichi. You could retire for the night time, Naruto said dismissively as he made his manner via the village that surrounded his castle. He had supposed to attend to a few inner affairs today. However, it had seemed he had a rodent trouble to take care of. Orochimaru, Naruto called out once he reached the gates of his fort. Moments later, a pale, snake-like guy seemed kneeling earlier than him. Sure, my lord? Naruto motioned for the man to face. The faded man might not were the most social of people and plenty of have been terrified of him. but he turned into powerful and, exceptionally else, certainly dependable. I want you to deal with things round right here for some time so that I'm able to contend with a few matters. I have to be again inside the month, Naruto explained. Orochimaru made no protest and simply bowed his head with a peaceful as you desire, my lord. Are you sure it becomes smart to leave Orochimaru in rate, Lord Naruto? Kurama asked as he followed the blonde demon to the western shoreline where the demon bats had been imagined to be. Relax, Furball, the snake may be bizarre, but he can deal with matters properly enough. I didn't ask in your opinion, Fawn Face, Kurama growled out. Naruto stored his eyes closed and persevered to walk as Kurama and Soanga persisted their regular bickering. Perhaps I need to have stayed asleep, Naruto internally mused. If you are finished bickering, we've got an activity to do, Naruto interrupted as he ought to see the coastline on the horizon. With Kurama and Soanga not arguing, the group endured on in silence till they reached the outskirts of the village alongside the coastline. Kurama growled when he observed the kingdom the village become in. Several homes have been on hearth, children have been crying, and the fragrance of blood turned into thick in the air. They're all gonna die, Naruto stated via gridded enamel as he appeared toward a cave on a small island just off the coastline, feeling a tug on his hakama. Naruto seemed down to see a touch female searching up at him with tears in her eyes. Letting his glare melt, Naruto knelt down and located a hand on the girl's shoulder. What's the problem, younger one? Naruto requested as he wiped away the tear that had determined its manner down the female's cheek. The female sniffled and rubbed at her eyes. They took my daddy. The lady whimpered as the dam seemed to interrupt, and the tears began to flow from the younger girl's eyes. Naruto ran his fingers through her hair and shushed her softly as he delivered a tale ahead to wrap across the lady comfortingly. After a couple of minutes, the woman regarded to chill out as she snuggled into the warm temperature of the gentle tale wrapped around her. Don't worry. I'm gonna get your daddy lower back, okay? Naruto comforted her as he picked the girl up and set her on Kurama's lower back. Kurama shot Naruto a withering appearance, however made no move to protest. The woman wiped her eyes once more and nodded with a small smile as she wrapped her hands around Kurama's neck, and they made their way into the village. Miho, a middle elderly lady called out as she rushed over and took the lady from the big fox demons again. Turning to Naruto, she bowed deeply. Thanks, Lord Naruto. I have been seeking out her anywhere. Naruto merely waved the girl off and made his manner towards the course main to the cave wherein his prey become, geared up to clean residence. Soanga? Naruto requested as he unsheathed his sword. Soanga hummed his approval as a darkish energy started out to swirl approximately his blade, raising the sword above his head. Naruto brought it down with a cry of dragon tornado, as a veritable twister of dark strength spiraled in the direction of the close-by island. Once it reached the midway point, it made touch with a crimson barrier before shattering it like glass, with nothing else impeding it. The vortex of destruction continued its path till it tore into the big land mass, and ripped a massive fissure within the side of it earlier than continuing out to sea. The villagers all stared in awe on the damaging electricity of the apparently easy attack. Naruto simply waited for the inevitable as one by one, bat demons made their manner out of the cave. After numerous dozen bats had made their manner into the open, the one Naruto was looking ahead to sooner or later made his appearance. How dare you destroy our barrier? A bigger bat demon shouted angrily as he glared at Naruto. Kurama growled in outrage that this trespasser would dare to speak to his lord in any such way. Naruto himself turned into having a tough time preserving back a snarl as he clenched his fists tightly. You trash, he said, just loud sufficient to be heard. You come back into MY land, assault MY human beings, and also you dare to talk to me as in case you were my equal? Naruto growled out as Yuki turned into leaking off of him in waves. Kurama sponsored away slowly and entreated the civilians to do the identical. An angry Naruto was one element, but a furious Naruto become a nightmare you did not want to get close to. I'm not going to kill you, Naruto growled out as he stabbed Soanga into the floor and draped his cuirass and kimono over him as he stepped away. Kurama shivered while he saw the tribal markings start to spread throughout his uncovered torso, and the typically thin markings on his cheeks thickened. I am going to smash you. With that said, Naruto vanished, earlier than all of us should wonder in which he went. A blood-curdling scream tore via the air as Naruto ripped the wings from one of the bat demons earlier than. An awful lot to all and sundry's horror, he started out to systematically rip the person to shreds. The others could do not anything however watch in morbid fascination as what became as soon as their comrade was rendered into little extra than a blood-soaking wet pile of shredded flesh. The brutality didn't give up there as Naruto reared his head again earlier than roaring and unleashing a wave of demonic electricity from his mouth that reduced the pile to not anything. Any sign that the person had ever even existed became wiped away in an instant. What's that? One of the villagers requested as he attempted and did not forestall the insistent shaking of his legs. That's what occurs whilst Lord Naruto receives annoyed, Kurama stated as he persisted to observe at the same time as Naruto used his tails and claws to tear the horde of bat demons to shreds. Numerous tried to retreat, however by no means got very far before locating themselves skewered on a golden tail. What felt like hours of gore to those looking changed into actually only a handful of mints as Naruto persisted to mutilate the trespassing demons till only 2 remained, their leader, Taigo Kamaru, and a little girl that he became conserving like a defend at the same time as firing sonic blasts from his mouth, hiding at the back of an infant. You're pathetic. Naruto spat as he knocked the incoming attacks aside as if he had been swatting flies. As a minimum now you display yourself to be the pathetic, insignificant worm which you are. Taigo Kamaru growled as he commanded the girl in his hands to put up a barrier or he might kill her mom. Obeying the order, the girl cried as she surrounded them in a purple barrier. Taigo Kamaru set free a victorious chuckle. True woman, Shiori, what will you do now, O incredible demon king? The huge bat demon requested paradoxically as he persevered to giggle. You left your weapon behind and now you have no manner of attacking him. The man's rant was ended up front when one among Naruto's tails tore through the barrier like butter and severed his proper arm and wing, causing them to plummet to the ground under. You actually believed that a barrier might prevent? Naruto requested rhetorically as he approached the downed demon who changed into screaming in ache. You were already lifeless the moment you crossed me. Taigo Kamaru should do nothing however shout his ache to the sector as Naruto started to rip away his flesh, piece by using piece. Naruto smirked sadistically whilst the bat demon absolutely begged him for demise. It changed into like tune to his ears, despite the fact that dying would now not find everyone that slighted him so without difficulty, and he could make certain that, even in loss of life, this scum would go through for his transgressions. Just as Taigo Kamaru felt his eyes drifting shut and idea the nightmare become ending, his eyes snapped open when he felt a searing pain in his chest. Looking up with a horrified expression, he saw that Naruto had ripped his heart out and, in his very last moments, watched as he crushed it in his hand. Lord Naruto, Kurama known as out after the blonde fox demon completed washing himself off. By the time he had finished with Taigo Kamaru, he had been absolutely sopping wet in blood and desperately had to clean himself off. The villagers had thanked him time and again and asked if there has been something they may do, however he simply waved them off and told them he wished a bath. Loosen up, Kurama. I'm pleasant, he stated evenly as he pulled on his kimono and cuirass earlier than sheathing Soanga another time. Kurama nodded as he fell into step next to Naruto and that they made their manner to their subsequent vacation spot. Why did you get to have all the amusing while I just sat inside the damn sand? All I were given to do changed into spoil a silly barrier. Soanga groaned in sadness. Kurama just rolled his eyes and held back the urge to argue with the sentient sword again. Don't worry, Soanga. You may get to have some amusement soon I'm sure. Speak me of which. Where are we off to now, my lord? Kurama asked as they continued to make their manner north. We are going to the western plains. We acquired reviews several days in the past that the Panther tribe had been sending scouts into the vicinity, so we are going to test on things and I'd want to eventually meet my vintage friend's daughter. So essentially it's a booty call, Soanga chimed in. Naruto stopped in his tracks and regarded down at his sword with a flat glare. Maybe I ought to have just left you in that rattling well, Naruto said dryly. I could not agree greater. Kurama snickered, earning a growl from Soanga. You can be an actual bastard now and again, you already know that? It changed into only a comic story. Naruto simply shrugged as he persevered his manner north. I keep my preceding statement. Naruto spoke back with a smirk, causing Soanga to grouse about asshole foxes. Several hours later. So how do you propose on finding the general's daughter, my lord? Kurama asked. Naruto stopped to contemplate this for a moment as he took in his environment. They had crossed the border among territories kind of an hour in the past, and the solar became starting its descent past the horizon as he stood excessive above the plains at the edge of a cliff. Like this, Naruto spoke back as he reared his head again and set free a deafening roar much like when he had first awoken. Actual diffused Soonga commented dryly. Naruto overlooked the comment as he awaited the inevitable and positive sufficient. He could feel numerous presences approaching him. Who is going there? A gravelly voice demanded from the base of the cliff. I am looking for Sesshomaru. Where am I able to find her? Naruto referred to as down to what seemed like a few breed of canine demon as a few smaller demons accumulated at his facets. Why ought to I inform a few trespasser in which Lord Sesshomaru is? The canine demon scoffed. Naruto's eyebrow twitched in inflammation. He sincerely hated having his demands disregarded by way of such lesser demons. Stepping over the ledge, Naruto commenced to plummet to the floor under. Some of the demons beneath noticed his quick method as a hazard and drew their weapons for you to guard themselves. Kurama sighed as he leapt after his lord. I am not cleansing up the mess if he kills them. Naruto's swift descent became halted several inches above the ground through a gust of wind that compelled the accrued demons to guard their eyes from the kicked-up dirt. Stepping from the air as if he were walking down an invisible flight of stairs, Naruto slowly approached those who had the records he needed. Get him! A decidedly lizard-like demon known as Out as he rushed Naruto with his sword, accompanied carefully with the aid of the others. The most effective person who remained in which he stood changed into the canine demon who had first answered. His eyes have been wide as he observed the flowing golden tails and piercing, pink eyes, forestall. You fools! He known as Out, however it changed into too overdue. As soon because the group were given near, they had been right away torn to shreds by way of an unseen pressure. Naruto frivolously brushed the dirt from his kimono before walking over the corpses as though they had been in no way there initially, seeing the powerful demon advancing on him all over again. The dog demon straightway dropped to his knees and pressed his head to the ground. Forgive me, Lord Naruto. I did now not comprehend it changed into you. The nine-tailed demon lord's eyes narrowed as he stopped in front of the demon groveling at his FT. After a moment, Naruto raised his foot earlier than bringing it down at the again of the demon's head and urging his face further into the floor. I won't ask again. Wherein is Sesshomaru? Naruto demanded as he punctuated each phrase with the aid of making use of more pressure to the demon's head. Hearing him mumble into the dirt, Naruto moved his foot and flipped the person onto his again. To the east. She's moving east. He without delay responded as he coughed up a few dust. Without another phrase, Naruto began taking walks with the putting sun beaming down upon his back. Ignoring the sputtering canine demon, Kurama rushed to his lord's facet. So I'm guessing she's on her manner to take care of the panther demons? Kurama questioned aloud. Naruto nodded his agreement as they persevered their journey motive on locating Sesshomaru. More than likely. Perhaps we will get to have some fun with the panther demon tribe, Naruto said as he should simplest desire that there was a person many of the vintage enemies of his buddy to provide him a chunk of a challenge. You better no longer hog all of them to yourself this time. I need some movement too. Yeah, you'll get your flip, Naruto said with a roll of his eyes. It is no longer like there could be a whole lot for them to do. The Panther King changed into lengthy dead. Kurama, I thought you stated the Panther King turned into lifeless. Naruto stated in a tone laced with confusion. The confusion became comprehensible however as they had been presently staring at a 50-foot-tall panther demon in black armor that was alleged to be useless. He changed into useless. However seemingly he failed to stay dead. Kurama spoke back with his personal confusion. How the hell did the leader of the panther tribe come back to lifestyles? Naruto became about to remark, but his attention was drawn someplace else while there has been a loud crash, and he looked over to peer Inuyasha confronting the Panther King with a totally acquainted sword in his fingers. Seems like the pup subsequently inherited his father's sword. But where is Sesshomaru? Putting his thoughts aside for now, Naruto leapt into the air and made his manner to the battlefield. Inuyasha groaned as he held lower back a large paw together with his sword. He turned into still annoyed that this bastard had sacrificed his very own people in order that he could come back to existence, and now he has to combat this man who changed into speculated to be on the extent of his father? He turned into not having an awesome day. His eyes widened as he saw the claws of the beast's different hand rapid drawing near, and his sword become nonetheless occupied. Simply as he became about to attempt to soar lower back, a gale of darkish power suddenly collided with the panther demon's shoulder, and severed the arm before it could attain him. Having some trouble, puppy? Naruto asked with a smirk as he regarded next to Inuyasha with Soanga held over his shoulder. Ugh, what the hell are you doing right here? Inuyasha asked with a groan as he glared at the golden-haired demon. I simply took place to be going for a stroll when I noticed this adorable little pup getting bullied via a dirty alley cat and decided to assist him out. Naruto effortlessly aspect-stepped the enraged swing Inuyasha took at him as he tried to keep himself from giggling. This youngster changed into just manner too smooth to rile up. Get the hell out of right here. I will handle this guy by myself, Inuyasha declared defiantly. Naruto simply raised an amused eyebrow as he stared on the silver-haired one-half demon. Oh, so I bet you are completely organized for that? Naruto requested, a good deal to Inuyasha's confusion. Earlier than he should ask what Naruto changed into speak me approximately. Inuyasha turned into knocked away through a bolt of lightning that impacted the floor in front of him, grabbing the dazed half of demon by using his collar. Naruto tossed him to the unusually dressed woman he remembered seeing with him earlier than who appeared like she changed into approximately to have a heart attack. Get him out of here. He's going to just get in the manner, Naruto stated as he turned again to stand the panther demon. Inuyasha desired to protest, but a glare from Kagome made him assume otherwise as the two made their way closer to wherein their pals were presently combating different contributors of the panther demon tribe. Time to go wild. Soanga, ultimately. The sentient sword known as out joyfully as his blade becomes surrounded by using a vortex of crimson energy. Naruto's grip tightened in anticipation as the Panther King stood all over again, and his arm appeared to have grown returned in some way. Nicely if it isn't the so-called Demon King. The Panther tribe leader spat sarcastically. Do you simply think you can beat me when I have the strength of the sacred jewel flowing through me? Wow, you're really dumber than you appearance. That's mind-blowing in its own way, I assume, thinking about how dumb you appearance inside the first area, Naruto mocked. I will display you who the real king is, you bastard. The oversized cat growled as he lashed out together with his claws in order to impale the nine-tailed demon who insulted him. With a flick of his wrist, Naruto severed the imminent hands with a bored expression. Watching with mild hobby, Naruto noticed because the severed arms regrow in a depend of seconds, thrilling. Naruto mused aloud as he held Soanga in the front of him with an excited grin. Let's examine what else you may develop, returned. We could. Sesshomaru's eyes narrowed on the lady throughout from her. Torin's eyes became honestly beginning to get disturbing. Sesshomaru grew to become in the direction of the castle on the sound of the pained cry. Did her foolish little brother certainly control to stop the leader of the Panther tribe? Grasp! Torin shouted as she rushed past Sesshomaru to make her manner to her apparently wounded chief. Sesshomaru stared after her with narrowed eyes for a second earlier than she too began to make her manner towards the source of the pained cry. I need to admit, that regeneration is extraordinary. However, it would not make a lot of a distinction in case you do not have the strength to return it up, Naruto commented, as he slowly approached the bisected panther demon with Soanga held at his aspect. The battlefield changed into a veritable ocean of blood and flesh in a gory testimony to the amount of times the giant cat had been cut down. For a while it had been a laugh to constantly lop off the outsized cat's limbs and pay attention to his pained grunts and moans. But it becomes starting to lose its enjoyment, so Naruto had separated the Panther King on the waist to see what might show up. I guess that regeneration has its limits as nicely. You cannot fix that a good deal damage, are you able to? Naruto requested rhetorically. The Panther King refused to admit his defeat as lightning accumulated in his open maw for what regarded like a remaining-ditch effort to take Naruto down in a single blow. Naruto closed his eyes as energy once more collected into Soanga's blade. Naruto just persevered to stand there with his eyes closed without the slightest trace of fear as he felt the strength preserved to pull into the approaching assault. Grasp! The voice of Torin cried out simply before the mass of lightning turned into unleashed upon its motionless sufferer. Snapping his eyes open, a purple pigment shadowed Naruto's eyes as strength apparently exploded out of Soanga in a violent whirlwind. Watching the lightning method with a disinterested appearance, Naruto moved his arm ahead as Soanga unleashed an full-sized dragon twister. The lightning was straightaway swallowed up via the ripping winds as it persisted ahead undeterred and unleashed its wrath upon the panorama. Chunks of earth had been torn from the floor and the surrounding fortress become torn to shreds by means of the violent winds. Torin, who were status off to the facet with a glance of horror on her face, changed into thrown away like a ragdoll in a tornado, while Sesshomaru, who had proven up in time to see the assault, tore a trench within the floor as she tried to maintain her floor with her sword. While the metaphorical smoke eventually cleared, there was not anything left of the Panther tribe chief, just a canyon-sized trench in the floor that looked a door it stretched on for miles, which it very well would possibly have, without turning. Naruto held Soanga over his shoulder to dam the incoming swing as blade met blade. Turning to treat his attacker, Naruto's eyes widened as purple met gold. The entirety else dwindled away as he stared into swimming pools of liquid gold that were so familiar. But he had by no means met this lady before. Letting his eyes take in extra, they noticed the quainted skin of a creamy white, the oh-so-familiar crescent moon marking her forehead, and the stylish facial features of a female born to rule, unlike the face he recollects, but her cheeks had been no longer decorated with the aid of an unmarried marking of a gentle purple hue. Alternatively, each cheek become marked through 2 stripes of a pointy magenta with an unmarried line of the same color shadowing her eyes. Flowing silver hair framed her face in a spell-binding manner that made it hard for him now not to attain out. Sesshomaru changed into an incomparable kingdom of captivation as she took within the lightly bronzed pores and skin, whisker-like markings and sharp, angular facial features framed by means of the most splendid shade of golden hair she had ever visible, but the one's eyes, swimming pools of pink that washed over her like crashing waves of dominance and power, but retained a tender facet to them as they appeared to see through to her very essence. It turned into each unnerving and thrilling at the same time. It changed into as if someone had pressed play to restart time as they each diminished their swords with a weird synchronicity. "Who are you?"